Hormones. We've all got them, and some days we probably feel them more than others. But how do you know whether those hormonal swings are normal or something you should actually be concerned about? And how do you make sure that your hormones are actually healthy? Well, that's exactly what we're talking about today. So let's dive in. Welcome to the Feel Better, Live Free podcast brought to you by Thinlicious. I'm your host, Ruth Sukup, and here we'll talk about everything from the science of weight loss to practical tips for making your health a priority in the midst of a busy life. It's a little bit nerdy, a little bit funny, and a little bit revolutionary. So buckle up, friend, because it's about to get real. Hey there, and welcome back to the Feel Better, Live Free podcast. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Ruth Sukup, and I'm the founder of Thinlicious and the creator of the Thin Adapted System, as well as the New York Times bestselling author of 7 books. And today we are going to be chatting with Ashley Rocha. Ashley is a hormonal health expert, an herbalist, and the founder of Ladywell, a leading hormonal health supplement company, which is making big strides in empowering women through targeted science-backed wellness. And today, Ashley has some pretty amazing advice to share about making sure that your hormones are functioning the way that they should. So without further ado, let's dive in with Ashley Rocha. Ashley, thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited to talk to you.
Me too. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So let's just start with the kind of rough overview, who you are, what you do, and how you got to be doing what you are now.
Yeah, so I am the founder and CEO of Ladywell, which is a hormonal health company for women, creating supplements or targeted life stage supplements for women to help with things like PMS, PMDD, fertility, pregnancy, the transition to menopause, so perimenopause. Basically, we want to help women at every life stage that they're at with their hormonal health journey because we are all on one, whether we like it or not. And we're here for that because with your hormones comes a lot of, turbulence, symptoms. It can really impact your health and your happiness. And hormones are meant to be celebrated. I don't want to put hormones in a negative light. Hormones are amazing. They control your body. They make us function every day. They make us happy. They make us enjoy life. So hormones are such a powerful tool. And when we optimize them, we can really accomplish our goals, live the life we want to live.
I love that. I love that spin on it because that's not usually the spin that we get. So how did you get interested in hormonal health?
Yeah, so it's a mission-driven company based on my personal experience. I was thrown into this terrible cycle of PMDD the moment I went through puberty. So 1 week of every month, I was just taken down by these really intense mood swings, really painful periods. I was taking 20 Advil a day, and this went on for 2 decades. I went to the doctor during those decades, and I was just told what's happening is normal. Take hormonal birth control, SSRIs, a common flight of a lot of women. Now that stuff worked for me. I knew I wasn't depressed. I just thought that, this is normal. This is a part of my personality. This is part of being a woman. So I didn't change anything. I didn't even know I could change anything until my mid 30s when I started trying to get pregnant. I was having a slow time getting pregnant and I was doing everything right. Basal body temperature, tracking my ovulation, fertility diet, and all that stuff. And so I started, putting the pieces together and really looking at my hormonal health. And I was like, hey, there's something off here. I shouldn't have been having these just huge mood swings, so much pain. And once I started, digging into the rabbit hole, I realized I had severe hormone imbalances. I had PMDD, and I am a trained herbalist. So I know the power of plants. I know that there's stuff out there, powerful mushrooms, herbs, amino acids, vitamins, all these things that can really change your health, change your life. And I started applying that to my hormonal health. And I started working with naturopathic doctors, other herbalists that specialize in women's health. And within 6 months, I had really gotten rid of this PMDD that had been haunting me for so long. Just using herbs and just lifestyle changes.
Yeah.
And I eventually got pregnant. I have 2 baby boys now. And it just took me so long to get to that point. It was sad to me that oh my gosh, I had to waste 2 decades of my life struggling. but I didn't want other women to have to go on that journey. And I didn't want people to have to struggle with that in the future. And I know that the conversation is changing, and that's great. Like there's a lot more information out there. I didn't grow up in a time where there was a ton of social media and TikTok videos about cycle syncing and all that stuff. So, so there's luckily the conversation is changing. There's more information, but I have created these supplements that really worked well for me. And during this process, like I was piecing together like, 20 different tinctures every day, and it was really complex and it could be overwhelming. And so I really created formulas that were really looked at everything a woman could need for her hormones and put it into one, and simplified the process, because life is so busy. I'm a mom of two, I really have zero time to like think about piecing together supplement plans. So like I wanted to
Right.
simplify things. I wanted to create formulas that were really holistic and approached health from a lot of different angles. So not just Western medicine, but looking at bringing in traditional Chinese medicine, Ayurveda, and a lot of different viewpoints to create formulas that are really robust and holistic. And like other
Yeah.
brands will bring in just like a couple herbs, maybe in vitamins, and then you'll end up needing to like stack your supplements and take a lot of different things to really get to the place you want to be at. And I just want to simplify that, create formulas that are full of the good stuff that you need, quality, but also accessible. I'm all about accessibility. We should all have access to naturopathic doctors and hormone testing, but that's so expensive and unrealistic in America right now. So we're not going to have that. So I want to create supplements that are as accessible as possible for women to take care of their hormones.
I love that. Yeah. And, it's funny because you're probably in the same kind of realm that I am, right? Of like talking about health and about alternative health all the time, to the point where you do start to think, oh, this must be mainstream because everybody's talking about it on X and TikTok and Instagram, right? But no, it's just the people that I follow, because it's not that mainstream. I'm hoping now maybe that it's going to become a little bit more. We got a little Maha movement going on, but I don't think that as a society as a whole, like we're still there. And just going back to your like your experience with your doctors, like 20 years that you lived with like hormonal imbalances that just went undiagnosed. I mean, what would your doctors tell you? This is just normal. This is just how it is. Like there was never any testing that they wanted to do or further. How did that go?
Yeah, I don't think doctors are equipped to understand hormonal health in depth like we need to. And these symptoms are often dismissed as normal. PMS has been seen as normal, and maybe like some like low levels of PMS are normal. You will go in and out of having symptoms in your life. But when you're having something that's severe or just impacts your life at all, like it shouldn't get in the way of you doing your normal day activities. And if this is ongoing, then you have a problem. And I just think that women's complaints are often dismissed or easily overlooked by a medical system, because it is complicated and it's a little bit harder to figure out than like, okay, you have a sinus infection, here's medicine. Testing hormones is complicated too. Like if you just test your hormones through your blood, you only get a snapshot of one point in time, and your hormones are constantly fluctuating. Life's made up of many photos, not just one moment in time. So you can take using a Dutch test is a better way to test for hormones. And that's definitely not something you can just go to your doctor and get. You have to look into like naturopathic doctors and outside of mainstream medical system, and insurance does not cover most of this stuff. And you
Right.
really have to push the issue with your doctors and like demand testing or whatever it is. If you aren't on top of it and don't advocate for yourself, it's really easy for them to just kind of push you aside, because
Push it
it's
aside.
not like a cookie cutter situation.
Yeah. Does I this is an aside, but it like just hearing you talk about that makes me like it infuriates me, right? It's just thinking about the fact that I mean women make up 50% of the population, always have, and
Mhm.
and hormones are in our endocrine system is so central to every function in our body. And so then when you think about it, like, why are we not talking about this? So explain to us, like, as a hormonal health expert, how would you define hormonal balance? Like, what does that actually look like, and why is it so crucial?
Well, your hormones are really important because I like to describe them as the CEO of your body. They really are just controlling, making sure everything's functioning correctly. So think of them like an internet, like the internet connection. So if your internet is stable, it's solid, it's good, you'll be able to send messages, text message, emails, all the your brain will work with your stomach. Like everything is going to be talking to each other, and you'll be able to have all your bodily functions going as expected. But if your internet connection is going in and out, it's wonky, things are going to start to, there's going to be a disconnection and you're going to feel it. Like you'll be either tired, bloated, have mood swings, depression. There's so many symptoms that you can feel with hormone imbalance. And it really can be this like very wide range that we just aren't even, we don't know or don't understand that they are, so we can't associate them with our hormones. Like, for example, fatigue. If you have chronic fatigue, you'd be like, okay, well, we're all just supposed to be tired, like, but it can be hormone related. You know, if you have trouble sleeping at night, that can be hormone related. It can be a lot of other things too. That's the complicated matter with hormones. Um, but yes, we're not trained to understand our hormones, and we're not trained to understand how to react to that. And that's why I think proactive care is really the way to go. It just in general, like our society is like we wait until we're sick to get attention and go see a doctor, and that's how the medical system's really made, to wait until you're sick and then treat you when you're sick. And that's, how pharmaceutical companies make money. But if we talk about preventative care, that's really where the golden spot is. We should be preventing hormone imbalance to begin with. So we shouldn't be waiting until like we're just like totally burnt out, until we're just mood swings are just so unbearable that we've, ruined relationships, gotten divorces, which was the case for me. um, or
That's
just like
when you know there's a problem.
yeah, like that was a wake up call for me. Like our anxiety is just out of control, or depression's out of control, or just like have acne, bloating, like constant like weight gain that you've been battling for your whole life. So yeah, unfortunately, like, we're programmed to like wait and just tell we can't handle it anymore, and then we fix the problem. But I do think that being proactive about your hormones is really important, and so that's why another reason why I have created Daily Hormone Balance, which is our hero product. It's like a nice catch-all preventative to just do hormone upkeep. It helps with stress management. Stress is horrible for your hormones, horrible for everything in life, really. So I just want to create something that just kind of helped you with the
Just
proactive nature instead of the reactive nature.
right, right. So, like, what are some of the causes then of hormonal imbalance? Like, what contributes to it, and what are the triggers that are happening for a lot of women that they should be aware of?
Yeah, so it can be a lot of different things. Lifestyle is a big, well, I would say let's start with genetics. So you can be genetically predisposed to have more hormonal issues. I believe my mom dealt with PMS, PMDD. Like if you look back at your mom, your grandma, you can see some kind of connection in there. That is a true thing that can happen. And then lifestyle issues like stress. Like I was just saying, chronic stress leads to elevated levels of cortisol, which is a stress hormone, and this can disrupt balance of hormones. And that's just really terrible for your hormonal balance. Diet and nutrition, like a poor diet will just bring you down in life. Highly processed foods, sugars, unhealthy fats, these intervene with hormone production and regulation. And then if you lack essential nutrients like vitamins, minerals, and healthy fats, this also impacts hormone imbalance. So that's why taking supplements to if you can't get that all through your food, and most of us can't, and it's just because like once again, like our food system isn't set up to benefit us in the both way. A lot of our foods are nutritionally depleted in America, so it is nice to supplement, take a multivitamin or something like that. Environmental toxins, they are everywhere, endocrine disruptors, and they're so ingrained in our life. All these plastics, pesticides, like they're in our beauty products and the food we eat. So avoiding those as much as possible is really key. Like not putting your leftovers in food and heating or in plastic and heating up your food in plastic, like not getting receipts from the grocery store and touching them because that has that BPA on it. Not, using scented candles. That's also bad. There's so many things to do to avoid these environmental toxins that we can take steps to. And it's about just making little choices all the time, like eating organic, eating better quality food, avoiding endocrine disruptors, reducing stress, and then adding, powerful plant supplements is also key. And then we all know about stress and exercise and sleep. So those are the three I would say is the most important.
Big ones.
Yes. If you can get a good night's
The
sleep,
big
good
ones.
sleep hygiene, like go to bed at the same time, get enough sleep,
Yes.
not always possible, but important.
No, not always possible. I know those are the ones where every time somebody talks about being stressed out, that I'm like, I'm so stressed out. Right? Like makes me stressed just thinking about stress.
Yeah.
So are there specific foods that are really good for hormonal balance versus specific foods that you should stay away from?
Yeah, well, I always think it's good to stay away from drinking too much alcohol and caffeine. And a lot of people drink caffeine first thing in the morning on an empty stomach, and that will just spike your cortisol levels. So it's always advised to wake up in the morning, eat something like a piece of toast or whatever, and then drink coffee. That's a good practice to help you have healthy hormones. And then I would say for food, like vegetables, like broccoli, cauliflower, kale, Brussels sprouts, all those, leafy green type things, healthy fats like avocados, olive oil, coconut oil, and then flax seeds. There's also this seed cycling that people do that they eat flax seeds and then sesame seeds at different parts of your cycle.
Really?
That can get complicated. It's not that complicated, but
Yeah, I've
it
never heard
is
that
it is
before.
another thing to add on to your life. Yeah, it's great for you. And then eggs are a kind of a game changer for me because I don't like a lot of protein. It's not my favorite thing to eat. So when I was trying to get pregnant, I just started adding tons of eggs in so I could get more protein. And eggs are just really full of healthy fats and vitamins like B12 and D. So they're really a game changer. I know eggs are so expensive these days, but they're great. And then liver is one that is a little bit gross for people to talk about, but organ meats like liver are really good for you. And you can eat pate. But I have these capsules that are like freeze dried liver, and just the capsule, and I
Mm.
eat that. And liver is so good for your hormones. So
Is
consider
it?
it. Yeah.
I know it's supposed to be so good for you, and I cannot get past it. My mother-in-law, may she rest in peace, used to order liver and onions when we would go out to a restaurant, and
Yeah.
that just the smell of it I would make me gag every single time. And I'm still like 20 years later, I'm still scared of liver, even though I read
Yeah.
about it all the time. I'm like, I know it's so good for you, but I just can't do it. It's so funny. So, what about how does hormonal health impact mental health, especially like mood swings, anxiety, depression? Is there like obviously there's a connection, but how do you know if it's just like normal, or is it all hormonal, or how does that work?
Yeah, so your hormonal health and your mental health are deeply connected, with hormone fluctuations and balances having a significant impact on your emotional well being. So, estrogen and mood regulation. So, estrogen plays a vital role in regulating your mood and emotional well being, and it helps increase the levels of serotonin and dopamine. And these are the neurotransmitters associated with happiness, motivation, emotional regulation. So low levels of estrogen, often seen during perimenopause or menopause, are linked to things like depression, anxiety, irritability, and mood swings. So what I'm trying to say is hormones directly are in charge of how you feel. They cause things like depression. They cause things like swings. So making sure hormone balance is in line will help you with your mental health and help you stay, in the space you want to be in.
I think so many women kind of assume when we talk about hormones and hormonal imbalance that we're talking about at least my age, right? Women in their 40s and 50s, especially. But when you talk about hormonal imbalance, it's, oh, yeah, perimenopause, my estrogen is going away, my progesterone is down, right? Like it's my sex hormones that are all getting out of whack. But actually, there's a lot of other hormones that come into play. So can you talk a little bit about that? Like when we talk about hormonal imbalance, which hormones are out of whack and out of balance? And is it all of them? Does one affect the other? Is it primarily one more than another? Like what does that actually look like? Or is it different for everybody?
Well, it's definitely a personal journey when it comes to your hormones. Everybody's different. But during perimenopause, your estrogen and progesterone will be like going crazy. It's they call it reverse puberty, so you're just kind of going out of that. Um, so yeah, your estrogen and your progesterone definitely have an impact on that. Low progesterone levels are common during PMS and perimenopause, and this will lead to feelings of irritability and give you insomnia and anxiety. But there's also cortisol, there's thyroid hormones that the thyroid hormones affect your mental clarity. There's testosterone. I mean, as women, we do have testosterone, even though we think about that in terms of male mainly. So there's tons of hormones other than just like the sex hormones at play. And then there's like the gut brain axis. So your gut health also matters. And it's not just your hormones, but your hormones are being regulated by your gut. So for me, example, I was estrogen dominant. My gut wasn't working correctly. The estrogen was being pushed into my stomach, and you're supposed to poop out the estrogen you don't need daily. And the estrogen was being recirculated in my body, and that caused estrogen dominance. So I had too much estrogen.
Oh,
And so
interesting.
it is about your hormones. It's also about making sure your body as a whole is functioning correctly. And so gut health is a really important thing when it comes to hormones.
Yes. So do you think that, I mean, I think the estimate right now is that 90% of the population has some form of leaky gut or gut biome issues, which is high, right? Like it's
Yeah,
incredibly,
it's
incredibly high.
obscenely high.
Obscenely high, which is a direct result of the crap that is the American diet.
Yeah.
Um, but there's also, I've been reading a lot lately, and I'm sure you have because you experienced it, is there's like a massive increase in infertility these days. Like it's almost to an alarming degree. And those things can't be disconnected. Is that like would you say that this estrogen dominance is pretty common, especially for people who are experiencing infertility? Did that play a big factor for you?
Yeah, I think estrogen dominance is common in people struggling with fertility. There's so many things that can go into infertility or fertility struggles. Like you could have uroplasma, which is an infection that's just been sitting there that nobody even knows about, and you can just clear that up and you can get pregnant immediately.
Hmm.
There's male infertility. Like we don't even a lot of times we ignore the sperm health, but that's also really important, sperm quality. PCOS, endo, there can be some hidden endo during your cycle that you don't know about, or you can, have endo. There's a lot of different problems with fertility, but yes, so many women that I know, like most of my friends, I'd say have gone through some kind of fertility treatments. And it is really heartbreaking. It's a hard process. It's really hard in your body. It's really hard mentally. And it's really hard when it doesn't work out and you've invested so much money and time in it. And I will say our IVF system, you really want to make sure that when you're doing IVF, you take care of your hormone imbalances and your baseline health before you begin that process. Because if you don't and you just are trying to force IVF onto just a body that's not totally healthy and maybe has hormone imbalance or some kind of underlying infection, the cycle might not work. And then you're going to be just like in the cycles of trying and forcing IVF and it won't work. So make
Mm.
sure that you're healthy first, you take care of your hormone imbalances, and then you're more likely to have chances of success with the IVF. And then you actually might even just naturally get pregnant without having to do IVF, which would be a bonus.
Yeah.
But I on my medical board, I have some fertility specialists, and they see clients all the time that have tried IVF and just failed and are really desperate, and they just go to these naturopathic doctors and they do tests and they find these underlying infections or just whatever it is, and then they solve that, and then the next cycle they get pregnant. So
Wow.
it's really smart if you're going to invest the money in IVF that maybe you go to a naturopathic doctor first or a fertility specialist, and that really looks at your hormones and address that before you spend the 30, 40 grand. on it. Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding. So let's talk about how to fix it, right? If you're struggling with hormonal imbalances, which it sounds like most of us probably are, whether we are acknowledging it or not, what are some kind of actionable steps you can take to start improving your hormonal health, both through
Yes.
lifestyle and supplements?
Yeah. So it's going to involve all those things, lifestyle and supplements. Um, lifestyle, we talked about stress, decrease your stress. And then you can help with supplements when we talk about that. Dietary changes, you should be eating a healthy diet. I think, we all, know what a healthy diet is on some levels. I talked about that earlier, but you want to avoid sugar, increase your fiber, increase your protein intake. That's really important here. We want to take the right herbs and supplements. And so when we're talking about stress, like I totally recommend taking a adaptogen daily to help you just balance that stress. Because once I said you can't just totally avoid stress in your life. So things like ashwagandha and rhodiola are really great for just managing your reaction to stress. So instead of if stress comes in your life and your body just like clenches and just has this negative reaction, you'll be you'll be easier to like roll with the punches, and stress will come in, you're like, no big deal. And that's the reaction you want. So you'll have stress, but it won't feel stressful. And that's what we're aiming for. Things Herbs like chasteberry is really good for just overall hormone balance in general for most women. It's like I'd say the most widespread herb that will help you from a lot of different life stages. Omega fatty acids. You can take these in supplements. You can try to get them through fish. Magnesium is so important, and most women are magnesium deficient. We just really struggle getting magnesium through food. You can definitely get it through food, but if you don't, and you probably aren't because most of us can't, you can. I have a magnesium supplement at our brand, and we just use the spray. You spray on your feet before you go to bed, and it really helps you sleep. And that's key for me right now. Like I have a hard
Interesting.
time sleeping sometimes, so magnesium is a great
I've
thing to
never heard of
add.
that. A magnesium spray that you spray on your feet.
Yeah, it's a topical magnesium spray.
Oh,
I used to
nice.
take a powder version, but like I just found that it was hard for me to be consistent with that. Like I didn't want to drink a lot of water before I go to bed, and I found the spray was just so much easier because right by my bed, I spray my feet, and then I'm off
Huh,
to beautiful
I love
wonderland of sleep.
that. I love that.
And then things like exercise, supporting detoxification. So you can do that through liver health, eating liver detoxifying foods like dandelion root or turmeric, um, being hydrated, drinking plenty of water. And then you can always do hormone testing, and like I said, like go to a naturopathic doctor, like do the Dutch test, see where you're at. They will put you on a supplement plan most likely, and then you'll have to retest. It can be
What is the
expensive,
Dutch
so
test?
the Dutch test, yeah.
What is the Dutch test? Can
What's it? It's a urine test that tests your hormones, and it's the most comprehensive picture of your hormones.
Hmm,
Whereas a blood test it won't be as comprehensive. It'll be more
interesting.
limited. So yeah.
Interesting. Huh.
And then for
Awesome.
women in perimenopause, you can if it's really bad and you feel like your hormones are out of control and that your symptoms have just like taken over your life, you can do things like hormone replacement therapy. This is something that a doctor will have to do, but I have heard that it's like pretty instantaneous and it has great effects. But I always like to say before you go to those heavy hitters, like, just really start with like your diet, your lifestyle, and your supplements. That's
Yeah.
a good place
Yeah.
to start.
So do you have a supplement specifically for perimenopause as well?
Yes, so we have the daily hormone balance, which is really foundational, and it is holistic. It brings adaptogens, amino acids, vitamins, super herbs, and it's really comprehensive. So it takes care of cycle support, hormone balance, and stress support. And then we have a perimenopause specific one that'll help with like more targeted like hot flashes and things like that. And that will be
Hmm.
out this summer. And then we
Oh,
also have
nice.
the magnesium one, which I recommend all women use
The spray.
magnesium. So yeah.
The
Mhm.
spray for your feet. Yeah, I want to get that.
Yeah.
So,
Little
speaking of that, tell us
self-care.
where do we find all these magical supplements,
Yes,
sprays?
you can find us at getladywell.com. We are all about education, so you can find us on social. Our handles at getladywell. And we try to put out a lot of information about your hormones. Hormones are super complicated. It's confusing, so we try to help as much as we can. And then we have a promo code for your audience. It is Sorry.
It's okay.
I can't remember what it was now.
It was,
Sorry, it's Ruth 20.
there we go.
Yeah, there you go.
Ruth 20. Yeah. So we will add all of the links and links to your social and everything on our show notes. And we'll put that promo code there too, for anybody who wants the magnesium spray like I do. But
yes. And
Ashley,
we're also
thank
coming
you
out
so
with
much.
a sleep supplement this summer as well, which I'm so excited about. So, you know, when you're in perimenopause, sleeping is hard. And so it's gonna be really great for that age range.
Awesome. I love it. Well, Ashley, thank you so much for sharing all your wisdom and knowledge. And yeah, I'm excited to check out that spray.
Thank you.
All right, guys, that about does it for this episode. Remember that you will find the link to Ashley's website as well as to all the other resources we talked about in the show notes and the promo code. So be sure to check that out. And if you know someone else who might be interested, please be sure to send this episode their way. Then, of course, be sure to subscribe to the podcast to be notified of future episodes. And I will see you back here for another new episode very soon.